Because I said, Adam, I need you.
Yes.
Because I knew you'd be willing.
Yeah. So you did. I remember now. Okay.
And then I gave you one instruction. Hold my head.
Yes. Exactly.
That was the only instruction I gave you. And I have to admit, I actually, when I was thinking, I was like, okay, when I take this picture, obviously I will be the funniest person in the picture. And somehow I wasn't.
Welcome back to Poutine Politics, Canadian issues served with cheese curds. My name is Adam.
My name's Mike.
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Good.
All right.
What are we talking about, Adam?
We're talking about the Ontario Human Rights Commission.
The most interesting topic you could find. Yep. Okay.
Yes, it's so interesting. So we're going to do a little bit of compare and contrast.
Ooh.
And we're also going to do a little bit of 6 degrees of separation.
Ooh. Of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Okay. Exactly.
Okay, we can do that.
To start with the compare and contrast, I want to take you back to, I think it was the fall of 2018.
The fall of 2018. What was
Okay.
I doing? What was I wearing?
What were you wearing? I don't know. What were you wearing? Do you remember the Ron Taverner situation?
No.
Okay. This was kind of early on in the mandate of the Doug Ford government in Ontario, where I think it was the OPP Commissioner had retired, and so they were looking to hire a new commissioner for the Ontario Provincial Police.
Yes.
And there's obviously a whole application process to this and interviews and this and that and the other thing that goes along with that.
Right.
Okay. Just like any other job, but obviously this is an extremely high level job, top position in the provincial police force.
I know who this guy is. Is that the guy? Yeah, I know.
You know now.
Carry on.
You know now. Okay, so Ron Taverner was, might still be, that was the part I didn't look at, but he was, at least, a superintendent in the Toronto Police Services.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And in the midst of the process of the OPP looking to hire a new commissioner or bring on a new commissioner, it's hard to say exactly what happened, whether it was like a turning of the dials of what the qualifications and the requirements of the commissioner job was, some sort of relaxing the guidelines, as it were, for the application process. And Ron Taverner's name ended up in not only in the list, but basically as the front runner, and was almost seemed like a bit of a coronation to become the OPP commissioner.
Well, what I remember hearing about it was that originally it was one set of requirements. So if you want to use the Army analogy, the guy was going to get promoted to general, and only majors could apply. And then all of a sudden, the weekend afterwards, now all of a sudden a lieutenant can apply?
Yeah, or like a sergeant or something like that. Now, obviously, his ranking was not that low. Obviously, as a superintendent in the Toronto Police Force, like that's still really high up.
Yeah, it's still really high up. He's skipping some levels.
He's definitely skipping some levels. And so, long story short, there was big uproar, and in the end result, he decided to turn down the position.
Right, because Ron Taverner was originally a beat cop from Doug Ford back in the day.
Yeah.
And was part of the night shift that used to look after Doug Ford, which is something I wanted to bring up at another time.
Okay.
About Doug Ford, because Doug Ford's an endless well of awesome for me.
So there was obvious connection between Ron Taverner and Doug Ford, which obviously made it look like a little bit of a cronyism appointment.
Yes.
Right? So that was the Ron Taverner situation. Here's how it relates to the Ontario Human Rights Commission. So I guess, first of all, what the Ontario Human Rights Commission is. So do you know what the Ontario Human Rights Commission is?
Generally speaking, kinda.
Okay. So there's obviously the Ontario Human Rights Code, there's the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal, and the Ontario Human Rights Commission. And from Wikipedia and also from the Commission's website, their mandate is to prevent discrimination through public education and public policy, and looking into situations where discriminatory behavior exists or may exist.
Yes.
So it's almost like the part of the human rights system that invokes, like it says, public education. So public outreach, making sure that, I guess, people are aware, and also probably looking at, think about recently there was the changes in rules when it came to accessibility for people with disabilities.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So that would have been part of the Human Rights Code and Commission's mandate to work on those kinds of changes. Okay? Because obviously discriminating against people with disabilities is against the Human Rights Code.
Right. So they're the ones that come up with the policy almost.
Yeah, I would say so. I would say so.
Rather than, and the tribunal is the ones that look into enforce that policy, kind of, correct?
They enforce, so the tribunal enforces the policy when complaints are brought to the tribunal.
Yeah.
Right? So again, so this is to do with the commission. This story, I would say maybe it possibly, quote unquote, created a little bit of outrage. I kind of look at it as like, initially, it felt similar to the Ron Taverner situation, but on further kind of introspection on it, I'm like, I don't know if it matters that much.
Oh.
Which you might wonder why I'm that bothering to talk about it as a result, but maybe some people haven't heard about this yet, and maybe they will feel the same way that some people initially have, where it's like the government shouldn't be appointing people to positions when there's a process in place to essentially hire or appoint people to a position. Here's how it relates to the Ron Taverner situation.
Okay.
There have been, since the Ford government took into office, 9 commissioners on the Human Rights Commission that their position, like they have the positions have a limited time.
Okay. Yep.
And then they lapse. So there's some like 8 or 9 commissioners where their positions lapsed and have not been replaced. And most of them lapsed, I want to say, I think it was October of 2018. So a lot of these positions have been empty for a while.
Okay.
At this point, the Human Rights Commission only has one commissioner, the chief commissioner.
Oh.
Okay. Now, the chief commissioner's job, or part of the chief commissioner's job, because obviously they have more than this, but part of the chief commissioner's job is to find suitable applicants to fill commissioner positions.
Sweet. I can go for a new job. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. You're good to go. Although the process is already over,
Listen.
basically, at this point.
I can go.
Over the last few months, the chief commissioner has reviewed the applications of approximately 330 people.
Okay.
And has whittled it down to a list of 30.
Okay.
Now the purpose of that, the chief commissioner basically then brings those people to the government, because these are government appointed positions. But the chief commissioner's responsibility is to find people, or part of their responsibility is to find people that would more than adequately fill the position.
Right.
Okay. Do you see where?
You see
where I'm going here, right?
Yeah.
So, what gets out in the news is that mid-January, maybe Doug Ford personally, maybe not, but based on the connection, it seems like it's quite possible that it was him, decided to appoint 2 people to the Human Rights Commission that had not applied for the position, and therefore were also not on the short list from the chief commissioner.
Oh. Well, you got to get those positions filled.
Yeah. Got to get those positions filled. You're right. You're right.
This is how you run business. He's a master businessman. Wait, are we still losing money on marijuana? Yep. Perfect businessman.
Yeah. So the first person, her name is Violetta Igneski. Now, name means nothing to me, nothing to you, nothing to anybody that I know.
I don't recall it.
So she is a professor from McMaster, professor in philosophy.
Okay.
Seems like, someone who teaches philosophy and has got probably, as a result, a degree in philosophy would probably be a good pick.
Yep.
For the Human Rights Commission. Now, she has ties to the Conservative Party.
Does her son play lacrosse?
No. So her, sister or mother, either way, a relation, held senior roles in the Stephen Harper government and the Mike Harris government. Okay.
So what?
I know.
Like, listen.
Now, that, again.
Nepotism is overrated.
Yeah, I know. Well, is it nepotism or is it cronyism? Nepotism's family.
No, it can be friends too.
I guess, yes. I don't think she's necessarily getting the position because of her family, though. I think she was given the position because she has ties to the party.
Oh,
And
yeah.
in
Okay.
my
Okay.
point
Yeah.
of view,
Yeah.
So that's cronyism. Not
That's
nepotism.
cronyism. Okay. I'll grant you that.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
So anyways.
Corruption, but whatever.
Right.
Or as I like to call it, Doug Ford.
Yeah. Yes. Well, anyway. So the second person is Randall Arsenault. Probably don't know who he is either.
Nope. Doesn't
Okay.
ring a bell.
No, that's fine. I wouldn't expect you to. Again, most people that I know wouldn't know him, and that's okay.
He's a Toronto rock star.
No. Well, okay. So maybe he is. So he's a constable in the Toronto Police Service.
Okay.
Okay. But he's become like a social media quote unquote influencer, as it were.
Okay.
He's got like 50,000 followers on Instagram, and he posts on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter and stuff like that. You know, and some of the stuff that he posts is like public awareness stuff. Like he had a tweet recently where it was like, it was like awareness for wearing a seatbelt, and it's like, you know, here's the tells of people that obviously aren't wearing a seatbelt, and it's like, you know, leaning your arm on the door on your window and like really quickly trying to maneuver your hand so it doesn't look like you're doing it, or that you didn't have your seatbelt on and stuff.
Right,
It's
right.
like, okay, that's fine, like that's cool, that's a public awareness thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, whatever. So he's another one of these appointees.
Okay.
All right. Now, I got this story from the Toronto Star. That's where I saw it the first time, and obviously they reach out for comment from both of these individuals, and they basically get nothing.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't say anything either.
Right. Exactly. It's like, just as it is. Not going to talk about it. Let it be.
Doug Ford, if you're going to give me a job, I won't comment on anything. I promise. I won't even bring it up in this podcast.
All right. Perfect. Yeah, the podcast will be over if that happens.
If Doug Ford gives me a job,
Well, you won't be allowed to talk about anything. Don't you know?
it just will eliminate Ontario.
Okay, I guess you're right. I guess we could kind of do that.
Listen, Quebec's an endless source of awesomeness too.
Now, where Constable Arsenault's expertise could come into this is, so he is Indigenous.
Oh, okay.
And for his precinct, he is the Aboriginal Liaison Officer.
Okay.
Okay. So again, I mean, like, because of what his responsibilities, or some of his responsibilities within the Toronto Police Service is, he could certainly be a good fit for this position on the Human Rights Commission.
Right.
However, appointing a member of the Toronto Police Service to the Ontario Human Rights Commission while the Toronto Police Service is under investigation by the Ontario Human Rights Tribunal for discriminatory policies, including racial profiling and carding, seems a little suspect.
Listen, conflict of interest is all about the viewpoint. So if Doug Ford doesn't think that there's a problem of conflict of interest, there's not a problem of conflict of interest.
None whatsoever.
None. Doug Ford. Or corruption. Whichever word you want to choose.
Yeah. So what was Doug Ford's response to this? On Friday.
He responded.
Well, okay, here's why. So on Friday,
This is going to be gold.
So Doug Ford had a presser
Yeah.
at Peel Regional Police Headquarters. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because the peace party let him out. Okay, yep.
Yeah, exactly. He was allowed out in the public to talk. And it was part of the presser was announcing new funding for Peel Regional Police. Well, I think for police forces in general. What does it say? So announcing $20.5 million in funding for the Peel force to fight gang and gun violence. Okay, so it was an announcement of that funding. All right, and obviously, the question comes up during the press conference about these appointments and whatever. So. He comes out and says, so these are quotes from the story. "There's no secret, I absolutely love our police officers, and I'm proud to say that 3 out of my 4 daughters are with police officers, so there's my bias right there as well." It's like, all right.
I love this guy. This man is just comedy gold. 3 of my 4 daughters are with police officers. Therefore, I have a bias towards police officers.
Hold on, I'm not done. Quote, "The police officer that's serving," so we're talking about Constable Arsenault, "is top-notch. You can't ask for a better police officer than what the Attorney General appointed." Oh, yes, it was the Attorney General that obviously officially made the appointments, who's Doug Downey.
Oh, of course. I love Downey.
Yes. I support our police, and I support the appointment that the Attorney General made. If there's a conflict, they remove themselves.
If there's a conflict, where's the if?
Right. If there's a conflict.
You just admitted to that there is a conflict based on your previous statement, and now you're saying if.
Anyways. So again, my point is that I'm not necessarily saying that the choice of these people is I'm not saying that they're bad picks. If there is a process that's already going on where people have applied for these positions, and the person who's responsible for bringing the best applicants to the government to appoint to these positions is already doing that process, why not finish the process instead of, oh no, we're just going to appoint those people?
Doug Ford.
I know. I don't want it to, I don't want the answer to be that simple. That's the problem. Because you have to admit, I mean, liberals have definitely done politics as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Politics as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't want the answer to be that simple. Okay.
Doug Ford's just an idiot?
That is the answer. Well, and obviously then the PC party will say, well, it wasn't Doug Ford that appointed him. It was the Attorney General. And it's like, okay, so throw the Attorney General under the bus. Good job.
Listen, Doug Ford's government isn't as good as Kenny's government as far as avoiding things, right? Kenny was genius. Ford's an idiot.
Right.
The Attorney General did it. Oh, yeah, I'm sure he did it just because. And you still haven't resolved the conflict of interest that you brought up by saying what you said.
Yeah.
You moron.
Okay. Yeah. So, we've done our compare and contrast. But
okay.
I've mentioned that there was also 6 degrees of separation.
Oh, right. For who?
Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
All right.
Yeah, I'm ready for this.
So obviously we've got the Ontario Human Rights Commission.
Yep.
Needs commissioners.
Yep.
So Doug Ford, through Doug Downey, appoints 2 commissioners.
Right.
Violet Agneski, I have no idea who she is.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Randall Arsenault,
Yeah.
he's my cousin.
Shut the front door.
By marriage, not by birth,
Okay.
but still.
That means I can get away with whatever I want to?
That means that I am now unofficially, but officially, loosely tied to a government scandal.
You're also loosely tied to Doug Ford. Welcome to the Conservative Party.
I'm part of the PC Party of Ontario now. I think that officially gives me a membership without paying the $10 fee.
Well, I mean, you just had to ask Doug Ford for that.
Yeah. Hey, Doug, come on. Slip me a card. Let's talk.
This is why I say Doug Ford's, and like the number of different scandals I could. Oh man, like I want to do them chronologically because they're just like whenever I'm in doubt, I'm just like I'm just gonna pick Doug Ford this week. Like it's so easy.
So, anyways, yeah, that in the grand scheme of things, that's the only reason I ended up picking this topic to be the topic to talk about.
That's amazing.
Was because
I'm so glad you're part of the PC party now.
Yeah,
welcome to the dark side.
Welcome to the dark side. I am now officially a conservative.
Jesus.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
Sorry, Mom and Dad.
All right. Well, that has been our topic on the Ontario Human Rights Commission. Not really, obviously, about the Ontario Human Rights Commission. But
I'm calling it nepotism now.
Nepotism now?
Yeah, that's
right. Because
right, yeah, there you
did
go.
Did you get the position because he's my cousin? Is that what happened?
Political influence.
All right. That's what happens when you have a political podcast. You have influence.
We're influenced.
My influence is worth about the 2 cents that my thoughts and that my thoughts are. But
the band pennies that we no longer have.
That's right. I can't even rub 2 pennies together. I'm not allowed. The banks took them all. All right. Anyways, this has been Poutine Politics. My name's Adam.
My name's Mike.
We'll talk to you soon.